Muskogee because they were having a problem with the 4 major entities within that community all doing their own thing on social media, using different forms of other type of media communication, and he wanted us to kind of do a bunch of surveys or whatever to get everybody on board and they'd all come together. The 4 entities he was talking about were the city, the Chamber of Commerce, the Parks Department, and the Port Authority. And each one had individual web pages, Facebook pages, did a lot of social media, posted a lot of events, and he said it was just all over the place. The second thing he wanted us to look at was a brand for Muskogee, because more cities were going to one type of brand than each individual entity. Those 4 that I spoke of earlier all had their own brand. So he wanted us to come together. So we had, is it not going to work? Okay, so what kind of meeting information did the people in Muskogee, how did they actually get their information? So those are our 3 research questions. So we did 5 focus groups, and the focus groups were put together by the Port of Muskogee's marketing and PR individual. And they also did a survey. So we had them in a focus group probably for an hour, maybe had 25 to 30 in each group, and then they took a survey. And we put the data together. So.
All right, so we examined the following, really just looking at how did they receive their information. And so we did this both, again, through the survey, quantitatively, and then qualitatively through the focus groups. And then prepared the data through a chi-squared test or chi-squared test. And here we'll look at some of the significance that were found. So on TV news, and I'm going to have to look at this, you all, because this was Christopher Copeland's part of the presentation. So we've never actually, we looked at it, but we've never actually gone through this part. So TV news was significant and reached on factors such as age and then, of course, degree. And so if you'll notice, our highest age group was 56 to 65. And then the degree was a bachelor's degree, and then TV became significant for that group. No important findings for ads on television, but they also didn't do a lot of advertising on television in any of the entities that we researched for the city of Muskogee. So another one was magazines, significance for over 50,000, and again, I guess not significant in age group, but certainly when age is synonymous often with income. So. Radio, the significance was income and age. So those over 45 listened more to the radio than others, and the income being 50,000 or more. And then newspaper significance on factors such as age and income, 46 to 65 and 36 to 45. And then again, Facebook, 26 to 45, which goes a little against Facebook stats right now. The oldest or the fastest growing numbers on Facebook right now are those 55 plus. But certainly 26 to 45-year-olds use it, and females use it more than males use it.
We just figured out how to use it.
And then higher incomes rely on Facebook more than lower incomes. We think that's probably due to the use of smartphones and then the access to the internet. And then Twitter, there really were no significant findings that they used Twitter as a source of information. And billboards, again, higher income participants, noting that they rely on these more than lower incomes, females more than males, and then degree participants, noting that they rely on billboards more than those without degrees. All right, so here it is. We did 5 focus groups, 45 minutes each focus group, 3 groups, various residents that were fairly active in the community, nonprofit groups focused on low-income residents, and then a group of church members. So,
Yeah, Well, we had 3 focus groups at the beginning that the individual put together for us, and they were all, they weren't even middle class. They were all highly educated, owned businesses. We're on every board in Muskogee, and we thought, oh my gosh. So we put together 2 others. And with the nonprofit group of low-income residents, these were people who were working toward getting, what it was,
Stabilizing
that's,
their
yeah,
lives,
yeah,
basically. It was a Bridges program.
a Bridges Out of Poverty program. And then the last one was a church. Their members agreed to listen to us and
We'll
take
talk
our
a little
survey.
more about this at the end, how the data
Yeah.
ended up. So, how do citizens find out information? That was the #1 question that the mayor asked us to find out. How can they better get to their constituents? And so, people noted that there is not one place to find information. They utilized Facebook, internet web pages. If they were searching for a particular event, then they searched Google. Phoenix was really high. That's their local paper in Muskogee. And then they often paid attention to chamber emails. So,
But you only got an email if you were a chamber member.
all of them agreed that the city puts on lots of different events, not just the city, but various groups around the city. And so they thought that that was a pretty positive thing. So we did a word sort on Muskogee. When they wanted to know from a branding perspective, how do people feel about their town? So we gave them a chance to kind of choose some words. If they had to describe Muskogee, how would they describe it? And so these are some of the phrases that came back. I think we have the greatest potential to move forward, but we're stuck with how to do it. We're stagnant. We've been stagnant for a long time. We're lost. I use lost. I was talking about we're a great hidden gem, but bursting with unpolished future because we have all this energy going, but it's not channeled. So branding, we did the same thing. We gave them all of the local visuals around the community, and we said in a stack of 10 cards, we said sort and hold up your top 2 cards if you had to show a visual for the city of Muskogee. So this is visual #1, Okie from Muskogee with the guitars. They have the guitars around their city like Tulsa has the penguins, or Oklahoma City has the buffalo. And here's just some information on some branding books that we were reading at the time. And then here's our second place. I'm going to go through this pretty quick because we're coming down to the wire. Real Okie, and then again the Azalea Festival, because that's their #1 noted event in Muskogee that all groups were familiar with. And then we asked them to apply a tagline to Muskogee. So Okie from Muskogee and Real Okie from Muskogee were the taglines that we got.
Well, the chamber has a T-shirt that they're selling that says Real Okie. So people were familiar with that, but of course people are familiar with Okie from Muskogee because of the song.
So here were the top 3 words that we asked them to describe Muskogee. And this was across the board, all of the constituent focus groups: boring, quiet, and small. So here were some recommendations that we gave them. Amy, you want to go through that?
Well, we presented at city council to all the city councilors and the mayor and centralized the branding. They need to come up with one brand. They need to come up with a website where you can go, maybe City of Muskogee, but there are bullet points where they can hit the chamber, the Port of Muskogee, the Parks Department, and connect with other social media outlets. Newspapers was the highest form of where people got their news, and even in the lower income focus groups, people would see those because the Phoenix does a good job of placing them at the library or restaurants, coffee shops, places where they'll be. So newspapers, and most of my group was shocked that that was the #1 source, but then of course social media came in. So that's what we presented to them, and I don't know, they're working on doing something, but.
And really, from the social media effort, they need to feed and refeed everybody's. I think the mayor really, from his attitude kind of going into it, he kind of seemed like he wanted us to tell him that they needed one central hub of social media. well, we know that that's not part of best practices of social media, but that I need to feed what you're doing and they need to feed what you're doing, and then we all feed together, so. And I think, are we done? Oh, all right, focus group bias, that was our biggest problem.
We had to put those last two together to get kind of everybody, and it still didn't work.